Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios.
The man your man could smell.
Theo Dorsey is theoretically speaking.
But are you a different animal and the same beast?
What does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
Presented by Hard Rock Bet, Florida's official sports book. Streaming live on YouTube. Here's Theo Dorsey.
Lord have mercy. What have we started here? Do you feel the energy? Do you feel the vibe? C-Cat coming off of this weekend. So many things going on. Everything leading up to this. The debut of Theoretically Speaking. Myself, Theo Dorsey. We got Christian Cat, C-Cat in the booth on the ones and twos. How you feeling that beat right now, C-Cat?
I feel it in my chest.
Come on. Come on. That's a Kenny Dolo production right there, baby. Theoretically Speaking. We're going to be coming to you guys daily here. Monday through Friday, 5 to 6. We're going to be kicking it hard, kicking it raw. And really, this is our show. This is us. We're going to have some fun with this. And what better day to start than a day like this? Coming off of a weekend that was so electric, so magnetic, so many wonderful things happening. We have the men's Final Four, right? We have Bronny James declaring for the NBA draft. We got J. Cole sparking a beef with Kendrick Lamar, dropping a surprise, not just track, but a whole EP. And a couple days later, walking it back at Dreamville Fest. We had it all. And maybe nothing bigger than what happened last night. The tip-off was at 3 o'clock, but it ended in the evening. It was a very fun affair, the Women's National Championship game, South Carolina and Iowa. C-Cat, we are now in a moment in time where we have both Final Fours going at the same time, and it's kind of perfect on a day like today when we had that solar eclipse, because we witnessed in this day and age, in 2024, the women's basketball game, the national championship, and I haven't seen the news TV ratings yet. We haven't seen what they've done yet, but they literally eclipsed what the men's have going on tonight, which you still got to lock in and listen to the men's national championship game tonight here on ESPN 106.3. Coverage going to start soon thereafter, Freddie and Harry. That was incredible. South Carolina 87-75 over Iowa in a game that was pitted as the undefeated Goliaths of the sport in South Carolina, looking to be the first undefeated champions, and did so since 2016 up against that supernova of a superstar, Caitlin Clark. Now, before we get into Iowa and Caitlin Clark, because of course, basketball is a game that is ran by its stars, right? It runs on the superstars, the franchise players, the face of the franchises. We have to start with the victors. The victors write the story. They write the history books, and we got to start off with those South Carolina Gamecocks. C-Cat, I cannot believe how incredible of a performance that was from them on the biggest stage. Dawn Staley's crew, when it was about 47-46. I got to start with this one because though today's about Caitlin Clark and what she's done for the game and the platform she's lifted it up to, I want to start with Raven Johnson. In the biggest spot, 47-46, South Carolina led before the half, 17 seconds left, C-Cat. I know the game didn't end until an hour and a half later, but this was the moment when I realized it was all over. Raven Johnson, a swipe and score on Caitlin Clark as she's walking that ball up the court. And if you know the history between Raven Johnson and Caitlin Clark, Raven Johnson was that one that got waved off last year in the tournament against Caitlin Clark. She was the one that became a meme that later on opened up and was vulnerable with us and told us she didn't even maybe want to play basketball anymore after that moment when she was embarrassed. And then for her to turn things around like what you're about to hear, this call courtesy of ESPN on ABC, Raven Johnson, the swipe and score that led to the Gamecocks turning everything around.
3 for 3 from downtown. Shot clock turned off, and Johnson picks the pocket of Clark. Raven Johnson lays it in.
Woo! My goodness. And the montage of Raven Johnson exacting revenge on Caitlin Clark all throughout the night, that was victorious. That was exactly what you want to see in sports. Caitlin Clark was phenomenal. That first quarter, 18 points right out of the gates. She is the superstar that she's been bedded up and hoisted up to be. But the South Carolina Gamecocks overcame that. They won that national championship game. And in a day where we're talking about how the women's game eclipsed the men's game, we have to start with the champions. But we know one thing. this stuff and that game specifically of basketball revolves around the superstars. And it will not be lost in the history books. It will not be lost on us right here on Theoretically Speaking on the debut show. This is day one. Can I get a round of applause for the debut show, C-Cat? Come on. This kind of stuff feeds me, man. I just want to get up out my seat. This is great stuff. But on the debut show, we're starting off talking about women's basketball, and it's because of the effect of the supernova that is Caitlin Clark. It was a perfect storm. Caitlin Clark for women's basketball was the ideal superstar at the perfect time. And she'll continue to be that. And that's what the WNBA needs to market her as, and they need to figure it out. She's going to be the first pick with the Indiana Fever in just a few moments, at the snap of a finger. That's how quick it happens in women's basketball. Caitlin Clark is the ideal superstar at the perfect time for women's sports. And she did what she had to do all year long. She still dropped 30 in that national championship game. Don't get me wrong. She's going out not exactly doing what she came there to do, right? She lost. She lost in the national championship game for the second straight year. That gauntlet that she went through to get here is very similar. It's akin to her journey when she decided to stay home as a hometown hero and stay with those Iowa Hawkeyes. Caitlin Clark, the ability of problem solving. Everybody looks at her and loves and fall in love with that long-range jumper, C-Cat. I mean, she's shooting it from anywhere on the court. I mean, for you, what's your favorite part of Caitlin Clark's game, C-Cat? What about her is most magnetic for you?
It's got to be the long-range shooting, because anytime we go, no, when she's taking the shot and then just cans it, and it's the no, yes shot if you're a head coach of a basketball team, where Steph Curry and Caitlin Clark are now the two names that you think, well, it's a bad shot for everybody else who's ever played this sport, but not for the exception. The exception being Steph, the exception now being Caitlin Clark.
And now with what she's done, nearly 4,000 career points, averaging 28 points per game. She has all kinds of records. She's all over the record books in college basketball. She's moving on to the pros. But what she has here, the legacy she leaves behind in college basketball, is what she's done, the platform that she's put the women's game on. We're not here singing the praises of the great broadcasters like Shanae Agwumike, shout out to the city. Right, I watched her playing high school ball back when I was growing up in Houston, and she came through and wrecked my high school. Shout out Dulles High School as well. Shanae and Nneka Agwumike had their way with our school back in the day. She set the stage for them to get more shine. They've always been doing great work, but Caitlin Clark's play and her rivalries and her rise to stardom has set the stage for people like Andrea Carter to get some shine. It set the stage also. I mean, C-Cat, I witnessed this morning on First Take, people having a battle of how many WNBA legends and stars and people of the past you can name off. You're hearing names like Cheryl Swoops more often now, Maya Moores, the Lisa Leslies. Like, this has become a epidemic, and it's been not even an epidemic. That's the wrong word to use. This has become a shooting star. The women's basketball game taking off into the spotlight onto many other platforms, and no better other way to sum it up than the fact that on our debut of Theoretically Speaking, we're tipping things off with that. Caitlin Clark was the ideal superstar at the perfect time for the women's basketball game, and I wonder what Caitlin Clark is for you. Maybe you're a father or a mother of daughters who are inspired and want to pick up the basketball now. Maybe you're one of those few people, which I didn't feel like there was many, that was staunch rooting against Caitlin Clark, which I feel like there are people that were rooting for South Carolina, of course, and I was one of them. Go Gamecocks. I'm in love with what Dawn Staley is doing. Like, I didn't make it to church on Sunday. Don't tell my mom. I didn't make it to church on Sunday, but I did get a good word thanks to that lady from Philly, Dawn Staley, who got her third national championship, second in 3 years. And C-Cat, did you make it to church on Sunday?
I didn't make it to church, not this time.
Well, we're going to take you to church right now, because that's what Dawn Staley did following her third national championship and her second in 3 years, capping off an undefeated season with the South Carolina Gamecocks. Can we just go to church right quick with
I got to give honor to the Most High God for allowing us to be back at the same place in which we had sad tears. And I just want you to know that the God I serve, that He closes a door, He opens up a door that's giving you unimaginable success.
Yeah.
This is uncommon favor.
Woo! Do you feel it?
I feel it.
Do you feel it? And that's the kind of stuff now you're getting with the women's game. We haven't had a character like that. We have the Dabo Sweeneys of the world, right, in college football who do profess their faith, but there's something about the way it comes off the tongue of Dawn Staley that's so inspiring. And, of course, the church organs, not courtesy of ESPN on ABC. Somebody pumped those in via Twitter or Facebook, but that audio, courtesy of ESPN on ABC. C-Cat, it's hard to not feel the infectious buzz that comes around women's college basketball, not just with Caitlin Clark, but now with Dawn Staley. We're being opened up to so many of these characters who, I mean, this is like, it's a whole new world. There's no Dawn Staley parallel in sports right now.
I think sometimes working in this business, we kind of surround ourselves with people who also work in this business. So what we care about and what we talk about might not be what the masses actually care about. That changed today, right? Sometimes you'll have leagues that get pumped up a little bit because that's the narrative being pumped from the networks, whether it be us at ESPN or Fox. They're like, we're airing these games. We want you to talk about these games. That's not what happened here with women's basketball. We have people that do not work in sports, that do not really care about sports, if they're not interested, that were reaching out to me saying, hey, you're watching the women's game? Like,
all day.
No, that does not happen 5 years ago. That doesn't happen maybe 3 years ago. But when you have an undefeated team like South Carolina do what they do, getting challenged by a single superstar, trying to get revenge on that single superstar being Caitlin Clark. It writes itself, right? It's the narrative that people want to follow and find out the conclusion of, and we got it yesterday.
We got that and so much more. That's why, to me, none of this happens without that woman on the court and Caitlin Clark, who's going to be the number one pick in the WNBA draft. She was the ideal superstar at the perfect time in college basketball. What is Caitlin Clark to you? Caitlin Clark is fill in the blank. To me, she is the ideal superstar at the perfect time, and she's rose this game to meteoric heights. And I'm hoping not only that the WNBA can build off the back of that, but folks like Dawn Staley and the Juju Watkins and everybody else left in college basketball. Let's not forget Paige Beckers over at UConn. She's got one more year left. There's so many more characters, faces, and personalities, but also stars in that game. We'll see how they ride off of that, how they piggyback off of the success and the trendward upwards that we've had with women's college basketball. But back to the topic here. Caitlin Clark, this is a star-driven sport. Caitlin Clark is fill in the blank. What is she to you? 888-760-3776, 888-760-3776. You can hit us up on the Baptist Health Hotline here on Theoretically Speaking, 888-760-3776. And if you're like me, I mean, look, I just got done, me and C-Cat, we went golfing yesterday, and I'm sad to say it. I'm on the other side of 30 now, and I actually had some back pains going. C-Cat, were you feeling a little sore after golf?
Gotta be honest, no, dude. Okay. I feel better than ever. I don't know what's wrong with you, but I feel great.
Well, you know what? If you are experiencing foot and ankle pain or need to see an expert in the field, Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has a team of foot and ankle orthopedic surgeons and specialists who are regarded as leaders in their specialty. Visit baptisthealth.net/ortho to learn more today. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care combines its resources of experienced physicians and leading-edge treatments and technology to provide advanced orthopedic, foot and ankle, joint replacement, spine, and sports medicine care. Visit baptisthealth.net/ortho for more information today. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has offices conveniently located in Palm Beach County through the Florida Keys. Learn more by visiting baptisthealth.net/ortho. Hit us up on the Baptist Health hotlines, 888-760-3776, 888-760-3776. Caitlin Clark is blank. What is she? What is she to you? She is a transformative scorer. She was the engine of that Iowa machine. And before 4 or 5 years ago, you probably would have had to wait months and months. It would have taken a scandal to have Iowa basketball have this many headlines, but now in the wake of Caitlin Clark, as she moves on to the WNBA, that Hawkeyes program has more eyes on it, and the collective women's basketball scene as a whole does, which is why I say she is the ideal superstar at the perfect time. 888-760-3776, 888-760-3776. The Baptist Health Hotline, that's the number to jump in and give us your take. And we have Dory from Boca. Dory's from Boca. She's on Theoretically Speaking. And first and foremost, Dory, how we feeling on this Monday afternoon? Did you look up into the sun? Did you get a direct look? Are you good? Are your eyes fine?
Yes, it was glorious. Yes, I enjoyed everything with the eclipse. And I just want to say Caitlin Clark absolutely obliterated every single record. And that record was standing for 54 years by Pete Maravich. And my cousin's the foremost authority on Pete Maravich. His name's Mark Kriegel. And when I said to him that she obliterated his record, he said, well, he only did it in 3 years. He did it when they only had 2 points and blah, 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 blah. And he was right. But then I said to him, well, let's look at their percentage at the free throw line.
Talk to me.
Because if you want it, she's probably still a foot shorter than him. And her percentage was like 84 or 86%, and his was like 74%. So she's the GOAT, and that's all I have to say. And I think it's high time that women's sports gets the kudos that they should have been getting for many, many years.
I love it. Thank you so much for the call, Dory. She's right. Women's sports, it's not like, and this is the common misnomer. People feel like Caitlin Clark is maybe the first to do it at this level. I mean, nobody obviously has scored more points in the women's college basketball game than Caitlin Clark, but there have been many stars before her that are now getting some of the due, some of the shine, some of the reflections on. But then also what I'm most excited for, CCAT, is the stars to come. Mm-hmm. The young ladies that are watching the Caitlin Clarks of the world and the Camila Cardosos of the world and the Angel Reeses of the world, and they're being inspired to go out there and hit the courts with a newfound fever. Because for me, that wasn't something that was happening as much back in the day. The women had to be inspired by the Jordans and the Birds and the Michaels. Well, now they've got their own superstars to look forward to.
And I love Dory's call because she said she is the GOAT, not one of the GOATs.
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing the word GOAT, the acronym
It's
GOAT,
only one.
used in plurality. There's no plural GOATs. Like, what? Not two goats sitting next to each other. No.
But that's what you're getting right here on Theoretically Speaking. Two goats sitting next to each other. Tap in on YouTube, ESPN West Palm Play. Tap in on YouTube. Find us at Theo Speaking on YouTube. Subscribe and tap in on the live stream. You can watch us live. It's two goats sitting right next to each other. Myself, Theo Dorsey, and that's CCAT. And we're going to keep Theoretically Speaking here on ESPN 106.3.